Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Special thank you to our sponsors, the Gillette Home team of Keller Williams Midwillamette. For all your real estate needs, go to teamgillette.com. And Summit Cleaning and Restoration. For all your cleaning and restoration needs, go to summitclean.com. Woohoo!
Good morning.
I've almost got it covered there. There we go. We are live and ready on The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. How's it going, Scott?
Yeah, it's going to be a good day. It's my background's a little bit different. Your background's a little bit different. I just rearranged my office this last weekend because the room that I'm in, my office here, I've got windows on two sides, which is great. And originally I didn't want to put my desk up against the window, so I had it on the wall behind me, which was great, but I ended up with this terrible backlight. And so switched it around. And you know what? Getting thick there. Just by rearranging it, it felt like I had more space in the office. Plus, I got rid of a lot of clutter off my desk, and that just felt great in itself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I think that natural light is always a good thing, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Much better. And I know Shri, that we're on with the Experience backstage on Instagram at 6:30 in the morning, would say that's a great video tip.
Yeah.
She is the expert.
That is a great video tip. There's nothing, let me tell you, there's nothing that kills a camera like backlight because the camera doesn't know what to light up and you end up being a silhouette half the time in your own
Yeah,
picture. So
Yep,
yeah, no,
being
that's great.
protected in the witness protection program.
Well, you look great, Scott, as always. So tell
Well,
us a little bit about what's going on with you and what you have going on this week.
yeah, so you can see right over my shoulder, we've got Freeze. So the book, jointly written with Veronica Jeans, is now available on Amazon. You can go to stopinaction.com. That's
There you go.
and that'll link you right to the book on Amazon. There's a course that you can take because this is all about identifying your strategy in your business, mapping out your business model on one page, and then finding the risks and opportunities to your business. And so they're all in this little workbook, things to fill out, and it's all right here for you. So, and then Friday is the virtual tea break, the global virtual tea break at 7 a.m. Pacific. So international networking with my co-host, Alan Hennessy out of Dublin, Ireland.
That is so awesome. Well, that I can't tell you what a great honor it is to be part of that with the Global Tea Break because I have been, because of my good friend D. Scott Smith, part of that for quite a long time. Actually, I think since the second meeting,
Yeah.
right after COVID started or right before COVID started. I can't remember, somewhere in there. And what a blessing it is to connect with people all over the world. we were talking to our wonderful guest this morning, Dr. George and Vanessa, who
Hmm.
also are world travelers, and we're talking about the benefits of having those connections around the world. And you know what, Scott? I think we should just jump in and bring them in and get this party
Let's do
started.
it. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
here they come. Woo! Morning.
Good
Good
morning. Hello
morning.
Hello.
there.
Straight back from the European country of Italy. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that is so awesome. I mean, nothing like just jumping into that before I give you a chance to say anything. So let me back up. Let the two of you introduce yourselves, because I know all the awesome and amazing things you guys are doing, but give our guests, our audience, a little sneak preview. And who are George and Vanessa?
Hmm.
Well, first of all, I'd say it's great to be on this show. Scott, it's wonderful to meet you for the first time. We've kind of known Russ because we were on a panel of his with, shall we say, and I like to call her glitteredness across his pond.
I know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
Who is just an awesome human being herself. And
Mhm.
so this has been great to make, like Russ said, friends, and just feel honored to have our work recognized and to be able to be on the show. Now, that having been said, what Vanessa and I do, we're healthcare professional marriage coaches, and I'll let her tell a little bit as well. But we've been doing marriage coaching for well over 25 years, and we kind of did it in the volunteer realm, and it was done kind of as an aside from my practice in medicine and family practice, and but something equally as passionate as we were and as I am about medicine has been marriage coaching. About 4 years ago, we decided that because of the tremendous stress, and probably even more now with relationships with healthcare professionals, that it was a natural transition to really start to focus on our brethren that whose relationships are being so adversely affected by the way the medicine is these days. And having been in a medical marriage, so to speak, for 30 years, it'll be 30 years November the 21st, and together for 32, we just have made it our mission to make a difference in the lives and relationships of our colleagues.
So 32 years. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we just this last August, my wife and I celebrated 38 years, and that's what I told her. It was a good start.
Yeah, it is a good start, and I of course married up.
Aw.
Oh, absolutely. That's the way to go.
Well,
I'm with you on that.
and you are a very smart man, George, because yes, I mean, I always say that statement because it's so true. My beautiful
Yes.
wife is amazing, and she has been my number one nursemaid during my time of recovery, which is great. It's nice to have somebody that's here to take care of you. And but what I love about the two of you is the practical information that you're able to give people, encouraging, uplifting, to help them in their marriages and all that they've got going. So give us a few just steps on how when people come to you, they need a little help. How do you approach that, Vanessa?
We approach it with an intake, just basically asking them about their history and finding out some common ground between them. Why did they get married? What do they love about each other? What are the challenges? And everyone has challenges. There isn't a human alive that doesn't. There isn't a couple that's married that don't. Plain and simple, we have challenges in our lives, and we don't negotiate those very well. Past family history comes into the picture, the origins of our family, certain behaviors come to be, and it just can put stress on the relationship. So what we do is we, first of all, normalize that and let them know just because they're going through a rough spot does not mean that they don't love each other and that their marriage is falling apart. And that is pretty huge, because if they love each other and they desire to be together, then we can help them get back on the path of to marriage success.
And to kind of dovetail off that, because we have been in a healthcare professional marriage as long as we have, we use ourselves as examples. We have concepts that we teach, communication. I know that's a very well used, and some people would say overused word, but it's not, because you could say you communicate, but do you really know how to communicate? Because sometimes bad communication is worse than no communication at all. Excellent. So a lot of what we initially do before we proceed through our program is to teach that, and to teach what affects communication, whether it be prior relationships, whether it be how you were raised, a lot of things.
Can I give him an example?
Yeah, hold on a minute. Personality is another one. You would be surprised how many couples really don't truthfully know what their personalities are, because if you don't know what your personality is, or what your partner's is, you're gonna, and if it's a personality that clashes, and we all have that and some do, it's going to be difficult for you to understand why your partner is reacting a certain way. But when you do know that, it's a lot easier to do that. Go ahead and give your example.
So an example, when we were first dating, I grew up in a very traditional Italian family. So the male was the king, and what he said went. And
but I've never been king, by the way.
I like to think I treat you as a king.
You do, but I haven't considered myself as a king.
Sure,
that's
true. And so, he and my mom, he really controlled that whole situation, right? He controlled the whole marriage. And there were certain things that he would say to her, and, just growing up in that, and everybody grows up, with parents that talk to each other a certain way, and that just kind of sticks with you, right? So we were dating, and he walked into a coffee shop, and we were dressed up to go somewhere. I forget where we were going. Pardon me. He went to get coffee. And as we were walking out, he accidentally spilled them on my favorite green, at that time, suede shoes. And Vince, as I say it, my father, Vince flew out of my mouth. And this is what I said. Sometimes you can be so stupid. I can't believe you're a doctor.
Wow. They're stunned.
I know.
They're stunned. So go ahead.
So we walked back to the car. It was very silent. Get in the car, and he looked at me he's very tender and very gentle. And that's what I love about him. Said, I don't ever want to be talked to like that again. That was not how we talk to each other in our family. In my family, I've never been told that. And so moving forward, please. And right then and there, I made a decision that the way that I speak needed, of course, I needed to monitor what I speak. And I've put it into practice so long that I just do it automatically. And that is, I think about what's going to come out of my mouth before it comes out. And if I want to say something like that again, then I'll just pretend that I am biting my tongue.
So,
Mm.
And it's
go ahead.
And it's a technique that I have used from that day on.
And it's a technique that we teach.
And it's a technique that we teach because words matter. And
Mhm.
words can kill your relationship faster than anything.
So, but I'm not, certainly, she gave you an example. I'll give you a real quick one, is that we were playing Trivial Pursuit one time. I love trivia, love it, every day. And so she was on my team. She didn't want to play the game, but she was doing it for me. And
because I'm not good at it.
She got a question that I thought was extremely easy. And so I, looked at her, and she couldn't do the answer. And I said, honey, come on, you can't be that dumb. So needless to say, that did not go over well. She stormed up the steps, and let's say there was no intimacy that night. So these are things that happen. These happen early on in our relationship. Mm-hmm. And these are things that, by understanding, I'm really hyped up about doing trivia. She came from a very male-dominated family, and so you have to understand these things when you communicate, because if you don't, you just fly off the handle instead of handling them in a very rational type of way. So that's always the first thing that we do with any couple, is to review that before moving on to anything else.
And
I love that.
Stepping on each other's triggers.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that triggers, that's so important, I think. And, just understanding where people are coming from. Scott, you were saying something real quick?
Oh, I just, I really like this intentionality and understanding that there's a difference between reacting, which is emotional, and responding, which is non-emotional, is more intellectual, right? You've contemplated that word that you're going to say. But we also have to realize that there are those times when we are going to react, and to take ownership for it and say, I'm sorry, this was my mistake.
Exactly.
Forgiveness. You can't have a relationship without forgiveness.
Yep.
I mean, and so we as physicians, and I include myself in that category, is sometimes we can be pig-headed about things. We're definite about how things should be done, and instead of working through that and trying to work through that at the office, we bring it home. And so that pig-headedness tends to sometimes carry over. So one of the big things, and I think we talked about this before, Russ, when I was on the panel, is this difficulty in disconnecting at the office and reconnecting at home. Every marriage to some extent goes through that, but in the world of medicine, where in healthcare, where responsibilities, problems can change within the span of a half hour, an hour. To some extent, you know what you're in for when you walk in, but by the time the day is over, so many things happen that you weren't expecting. And so what we need to do is to be able to walk out, disconnect, close that door, start to prepare to go home. And too many times that just doesn't happen. And so our spouse or our partner who's at home gets to take, unfortunately, the brunt of that too many times.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's thinking of the other person a lot of times, because we get so wrapped up in what's going on in our lives with ourselves. I can relate to that, being married for 35 years, sometimes we're so wrapped up in what's happening to us that we forget about what's going on with the other person. And we just need to be thinking of that, because I think that goes a long way, showing that respect and that love, and the fact that you care about what's going on with the other person is so important. So when you get couples in and they are, I love how you're normalizing that. Everybody has challenges. Everybody has to work that. It's okay. I mean, it's okay, because communication, sometimes rough communication, is a good thing, because you're working through things, right? But
Yes.
when they're just at a stop and they just aren't going anywhere, what are some things you guys give them to work on, that maybe help open that up a little bit?
We teach them a tool that we call the Love Huddle. And for anyone that is interested in knowing about the Love Huddle, they can go to our website, which is bestfriendsagain.com, and download a free copy of the Love Huddle process. And we put a challenge in the form of a question, and then we teach them how to do the Love Huddle, which we teach them. It's a form of writing, because sometimes when we're speaking, a lot of times we're not thinking and words are just flying. It gets heated. But if you break that down and separate and focus on writing and focus on feelings, we do a really deep dive into feelings. And physicians, especially healthcare providers, they've had to suppress a lot of feelings going through the education process, and just what it takes to be a doc, suppressing feelings. And we teach them how to get back in touch with their feelings. And we use that also through ourselves. So think of us as teachers and modelers of that.
Like we will do, we have done love huddles throughout our marriage, and it's one of the things when a difficult subject or something that happens, or an argument, that you just you walk in and you decide you're going to write about this, and then you write about it, and each of you exchanges what you have written, and you read it, and then you start to discuss. And it, as Vanessa said, it takes the emotion. Now, some of that emotion will go down on paper, but it's not the yelling match. It's not the, I need to get out of this room, or I'm going to do something that I regret. And it takes that out of it.
It's taking bad body language out of it, like the rolling of the eyes, or the huffing and the puffing, or just, you're reading your spouse, not only with what's coming out of their mouth, but the body language. This takes all of that out of it. And we use words to describe what that emotion is. And then come together and discuss it when you're in a calm state.
Right.
I know there was
Scott?
some research that was presented. Vanessa Van Edwards, and her company is Science of People. She's actually out of Portland, Oregon here. And she was talking about those micro expressions, right? The 7 micro expressions.
Yes.
And when they were interviewing and they would film couples, the micro expression of contempt was a key indicator that that marriage was not going to last.
Yes, absolutely.
I come from the belief, and sometimes Vanessa and I differ about this, but to me, in most things, there's a way to get to the middle. It may take a while. If there are things that you can't get to the middle on while you were married, unfortunately, not enough time was spent beforehand trying to talk or weed out these possible deal-breaking issues that occur between the two of you. You'd be surprised that a number of people that we have counseled have said, well, we really didn't talk about anything, or yes, this concept that we're talking about now came up, but we kind of just blew it off, thinking that once we got married that that we'd be able to figure out. Well, that's just horribly wrong, because what happens is you go from an engagement prior to marriage where you're, hopefully getting closer before you make that relationship permanent. But so you're doing that, and you've thrown it into a marriage where now there's a whole lot more responsibility, and not that it can't be talked about and resolved, but the stress is so much more. And like I said, a lot of this could have been done away with had proper amount of time been spent beforehand.
And we fell into that trap. For example, we didn't go into depth prior to getting married discussing how many children we wanted to have. I only wanted one. I thought it was going to be extremely difficult. Being in medicine, at that time, Jeep had his own practice. I am an accountant by training. I did all of the business. He did all the medicine. And I thought, how can we handle a huge family and run a business? And I just wanted one child. He wanted more than one. And we kind of kicked that can around before we got married and thought, well, we'll just figure it out once we get married. And it became a huge bone of contention between the two of us.
That's one of the things that we when we were engaged, and I don't recommend this necessarily. We lived in separate countries because I was in the Air Force, and we were engaged for a year. So that's not the best engagement, but we were doing our premarital counseling by cassette tapes, right? We were going through a book by Gary Smalley.
I remember.
Christine,
Gary Smalley.
Yes.
Christine would record her stuff, send it to me, and I'd listen to it, and then I'd record my answers and send them back to her. And the one thing that was really key, and we use this all the time, is voicing expectations. So you come up to the 3-day weekend and you say, okay, when we get to the end of this weekend, when it gets to be Monday night of this 3-day weekend, and we look back, what do you hope has happened?
Yes.
Right. And we do this for vacations. And now it's the holiday season. So we have this, okay, Thanksgiving is coming up, Christmas is coming up. When we get through the season, when we look back, what do you want to have happened? Because if the 3-day weekend is, well, the Beaver football team is playing and I want to go watch the game and all this stuff. And she's like, well, I want to go to the beach and do these things. If we don't share that information beforehand, then I have no right to be upset that I didn't get to watch the Beavers played because we were off doing this other thing, because I didn't voice my expectation.
That is an excellent point. Absolutely.
Yeah. That is so good, Scott. And I think that's important for everybody to remember, because you're in this together, right? And I always say, when it comes to community, we're better together. Well, it's definitely true in a marriage. You're better together, because if you're not going the same direction, you're going to have issues. So I need to be the responsible host. We are quickly running out of time, but I want to give George, you and Vanessa one last chance to give us their last words of what you want everybody to remember from today. And how do they get in touch with you? Because I know people are going to want to get in touch with you. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Marriage is a team sport. And as you're going through daily living, we teach you how to be a team and how to work through that together. And we recognize when your behaviors are not team friendly, teaching you how to get back into being a team.
For my brothers and sisters out there in healthcare, I would say that we feel where you are. Please do not be embarrassed or somehow feel like you have some sort of personal weakness by not reaching out to get these issues in your relationship taken care of. We know everything that you have gone through, we have been through and successfully navigated. You're not alone. Please do not continue to suffer in silence, especially when something can be done about it. And the work that we help you put in is so much worth the reward that you will get.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
And
people get in touch with you how?
on our website, bestfriendsagain.com. Go ahead and take advantage of the free Love Huddle Method book. You can download that. Also, send us an email. Give us a phone call.
Oh,
I know you're at
one shameless plug about my book, What's Forever For? A Physician's Guide to Everlasting Love and Success in Marriage. A lot of what we do with our program is here in this book, and it was a labor of love, is doing well, and a lot of favorable feedback with the book. And that's available on Amazon, and it's also available from our website.
And it won a gold medal in a book contest.
Woohoo! All right.
I
Congratulations.
love it. I love that.
That is so awesome. So awesome. Well, listen, I can't begin to tell you how much we appreciate you guys being on today. All the wisdom you shared. You know, there's nothing more important than really taking care of your marriage and, you know, really treating your partner right and doing things that are going to give you, it's, you know, the old joke, happy wife, happy life. Well, yeah, it's really true. Happy spouse, happy life. Because you work together and each other are happy, you're going to have a better life. And we all need to work on that. It's a constant, that's what people I think need to realize from today. It is a constant work, and that's not a bad thing. You've got to work at it. If you want good things out of life, you've got to work at them. And George and Vanessa are there to help you guys. If you need it, all of their connection information is clickable in the links. It's not only showing up in the show notes, but it also is in the comments. You'll see it there. You can click on it, go to that. And I want to make sure you guys do that today. And George and Vanessa, we thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you and hope to have you back on again.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much for having us.
We can't wait. Scott, it has been
a pleasure
wonderful getting to meet you. I know we'll talk again. Russ, you know, thanks again. It's always a pleasure to get together with you.
Yes.
What a blessing. Well, thank you both. We're going to let you go, but hang tight in the green room real quick. We'll see you there in just a second.
See ya.
See ya.
I cut him off in the middle of goodbye.
Fabulous, you know, the experience. We do have the most remarkable guests on the show, and the topics that we talk about are deep and important, even though we only have 30 minutes. And it's amazing what can happen when you bring in guests like this.
Well, it's true, Scott. And also that's why it's so important for everybody to pay attention to the clickable links, and please share this out. So we didn't say that at the top of the show, but I want to remind you, please share this with your friends. We love it when you share, and also subscribe on YouTube because you get all of our information. Just go to the experience.video. You can see all the past amazing guests. You can rewatch this show with George and Vanessa, and you get notices to upcoming content. So go to the experience.video and you'll get all of that. And don't forget to please connect with them because it is so important to really get, we just scratched the surface. And so make sure if you have friends that are having struggles in their marriage or they're having issues that they could use this, make sure and share this specifically with them and let them know there's help, right?
So What's Forever For, his book, you know, you can go ahead and get that. And the type of information that they're sharing, sure, it's maybe specific for marriage, but I guarantee you that it will help you in your friendships, in your work relationships, in all of your life. So this is great information that I think everyone should take advantage of.
It is. And especially for those people like my friend David Chrysler who love manufacturing. And David, I love manufacturing. It's always important to be taking care of your marriage while you're working with people in manufacturing. So
I love the way you just kind of ease that in, that you love manufacturing.
I'm sure
so
that he
for
has
people that wonder where did that come from, my recommendation is cancel Netflix, don't get Hulu, don't get Disney Plus. Just go ahead and subscribe to The Experience on YouTube, and there's your binge watching right there, and it will improve your life.
Why not? Have fun. Have
And you'll
fun.
find out
Binge watch
why
the
Russ
experience.
loves manufacturing.
Don't forget the experience video will get you onto our YouTube. We appreciate you subscribing. Share
Mhm.
this out with everybody. Thanks so much for being here today. And I think with that, we're just going to remind you we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for your viewing pleasure and great value. And before this, we're on Instagram with the Experience Backstage, 6:30 a.m. with our good friend Shri, and often our sponsor, the Glitter Practitioner, Nupi Aurora, joins us occasionally as well. And
We love
until
our
we see you
sponsors.
again, have a great day and a great life, and
Enjoy the experience.
point the right direction. There you go.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.